What's good, everybody? Welcome into Early Edge Live, your daily sports betting show of record. We will be here over the course of the next hour, counting down to Monday Night Football. And I love these matchups. Two blue bloods from the NFC East, the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. We've got all your props, all your sides, all your totals. We even have the Van Jefferson Memorial first touchdown of the game selection if we get to 500 likes in the show. So let's pound that like button. For those of you who watch every day, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, I need you to hit that like button once because we like to change a life. When we get to 100, we're going to give away a year-long sub to SportsLine. 200, we'll give away 2. 300, you get my point. But it's very, very important for the growth of this show, which is just going nuts, for us to hit that like button. So thank you all very much. Also, in the comment section, any prop that you might want, any idea, any thought process that you have, put it in there. We'll try to get to as many as we can. This is the most interactive betting show that there is out there. Now, you already got a quick little glimpse of the stars of the show, but let's bring them in right now. 3 of the sharpest minds you will ever find in sports betting, period. Right next to me, Mikey. I got a tweet today actually questioning not just did I pay you, but questioning whether or not all the bets we make on the show, whether we pay each other or not. Can you please educate the audience?
Can confirm I did get the Venmo notification this morning. It must have been around 5 a.m. coach's time. I was actually still in bed myself here, not on the morning show, but I was getting ready to watch and running some data on the iPad this morning in bed, and it felt good when it came through. I'm going to be honest with you. And but yeah, he definitely paid, and the bets are definitely real.
I don't even understand when people question whether or not these bets are real. We pay every single time without question because we're gamblers. Now, running the 1s and the 2s in addition to being a talent on the show. AB, what's good, man?
Hey, Coach. Well, I'll say this. We already knew how hard you worked. Now it just confirmed that you just don't ever sleep. Like my man is just paying bills at 5 a.m. Like he's just crushed it.
I have a full house of people that count on me, so that's the only time of the day I get to myself. So it's all good at 5 a.m. on my side of the street. And a man who always makes the show look so much better, and one of the great fantasy football minds that we have at CBS. He is Sia. What's good, man?
Coach, what's good, man? I'm an NFC East battle on Monday night, Cowboys Eagles. I mean, this could be the game of the week.
It absolutely could be. I know there's a lot of people like to joke, Cowboys mistake. No, these are 2 pretty good football teams with 2 pretty good quarterbacks. There's a lot of big names in it. We've got a lot to talk about over the course of the next hour. Now, before we get to Monday Night Football, there is some news and notes that I want to get your guys' take on that happened today in the NFL that could affect betting lines as we move forward. The biggest news is that for what seemingly feels like the 5th or 6th time, Josh Gordon used to be a dynamic talent, a dynamic receiver, a dynamic athlete, and he's had a myriad of substance abuse issues. He's been reinstated again, according to Adam Schefter at ESPN, guys. He's going to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. I tweeted out earlier today that if this works out, it could be like an A-B situation down in Tampa, and it could really help the Chiefs at the wide receiver position. I'm interested to hear your takes on if Josh Gordon, do you think, will change the fortunes of the Chiefs at all? And see, I'll let you start.
Well, first of all, take the over on being suspended 5 or 6 times because it's a total of 8, actually, whether it's been by the NFL or by a team that he has been on. So That's pretty astounding when you think about it. And I think that kind of leads me to say this in terms of his comeback. It's such an unknown because now he's 30 years old. He's barely played. Even when he was in the league a few years ago, he barely played. And frankly, he didn't look that dominant. It wasn't the Josh Gordon we saw about 8 years ago. So can he help the Chiefs? Yeah, probably. I mean, you can really help yourself just by playing with Mahomes, right? And we know after Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, there isn't a ton there. Mecole Hardman, he's a fast guy. He's not the best route runner, not the best receiver. Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle are good receivers, but that's just kind of it. But frankly, that's where I think Josh Gordon fits in. I think he fits in with sort of the Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, Mecole Hardman's. He might get a couple looks per game, but I don't see him being sort of a game breaker on any level at this point.
That's fair. AB, thoughts?
Yeah, I think Sia just nailed it right there. All he has to do is be better than Byron Pringle, right? Like, I mean, this could actually work. It can really help the Chiefs. It can really help him. I know that I can speak for everybody in the show that we hope that, he's good and that he, can finally, maybe put just a nice ending on his career. I know it's been crazy, but this could work. He's a perfect fit for what they need.
He is.
But you don't know, what's the rust factor here? Like, it's been a while since we've seen this guy. So, I don't know.
Mikey, this is our squad. This is our squad, pal.
Yeah. So you ask, is he going to have that A-B effect? I hope he has both A-B effects. I mean, Antonio Brown and Alan Bell. Alan Bell is the ultimate team player here, running the 1s and 2s and the talent on the show. I hope he comes in with that kind of attitude to the team. And then I also hope that he's like Antonio Brown. I do think it's a net positive for the Chiefs. I mean, it's obviously, in my opinion, relatively low risk, a lot of upside. I tweeted it out earlier. As long as it allows me to not have to watch Marcus Kemp attempt to catch a pass from Patrick Mahomes again this season, I think that's a good thing. Right. So, exactly. No, I think it's a great thing for them, honestly. Especially if he's even remotely in shape, just having that threat on the field certainly opens things up. And frankly, who it's going to open things up for even more, which this might sound really ridiculous, it's Travis Kelce. It's going to help Travis Kelce over the middle of the field even more. So I'm very bullish on it, and I can't really give any thought to any sort of negative reaction to them signing him. So,
all right. Well, I've got a negative reaction I'm going to hit on right now. Pull up Matt Fullenwider from the comment section there, AB. And I can't stand when people don't listen to what we are saying. He said, nobody's thinking about what is best for the addict, the alcoholic. Not a good look. I clearly heard AB say, first and foremost, I hope he is good. Did you not say that, AB?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And this is a football betting show. So we have to talk about his impact on the team and the league, because we've already talked ad nauseum about him, the alcoholic, and the substance abuse person. We've already done that for 8 years. This drives me bananas.
And, Coach, perhaps for a moment he wants to be talked about outside the context of being an alcoholic or an addict.
Thank you.
So maybe we can give him that reprieve on this show.
Thank you, and we will. But, man, that drives me nuts. Listen. Don't just write a comment and don't listen. Okay? It drives me bananas. All right, another story today, and this is Matt Nagy being Matt Nagy. He says not one, not two, but all three quarterbacks that the Bears have are up for the starting spot next week. I don't know who the third guy is. I think is it Nick Foles? Is that the third guy? I just read the headline. It's crazy. See ya. Who will be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears this week?
I mean, if Andy Dalton is anywhere near healthy, it really should be him. I don't think Justin Fields is ready. And I think, honestly, to Matt Nagy's credit, I don't think he thought Justin Fields was ready. It took an Andy Dalton injury to actually get him in the game. So I'm guessing it's going to be Justin Fields if Andy Dalton isn't ready. But I think they're going to try to rush Andy Dalton back because it's just not a good look for Justin. I think his confidence is going to continue to dwindle if he's just not ready. I mean, we could tell he just wasn't ready. Now, Matt Nagy could have schemed things a little bit better for him. Don't get me wrong, but he needs some time.
Okay. Anybody else on this?
Yeah. Ahead, I'll say this. We laid out on this show exactly what would happen to Justin Fields and the Browns defense. He's not going to be able to get outside the pocket and beat that defense because they're faster than he is. He's going to have to beat him in the pocket with a terrible offensive line. So while I put some of that on Fields for sure, because he is correct, he's not ready to go right out of the gate yet. But a lot of this is this team. And I'm starting to see with Matt Nagy why he was holding on to Fields. Part one of that. But part two is now this. Well, after you've proven that no quarterback in the system can play, we start looking at you and not the quarterback.
That's exactly right.
So I think that's exactly where Nagy is at. So he's got a big problem on his hands now.
All right, so we want everybody who's watching right now at home, do you think Justin Fields will be the quarterback for the Chicago Bears this week? Give me a yes in the comment section or give me a no in a comment section. If Justin Fields in your mind, we're going to be doing several polls throughout the hour here on the show. Now, another guy that we've been pounding on, Mikey, during the first couple of weeks as far as playing him for props is James White of the New England Patriots. It came out today. Hip injury, out indefinitely. That with the Bucs and Tom Brady next up on their schedule. How much of an effect does this have on the Pats?
I mean, it certainly has an impact, especially in that game, as we know that Damian Harris is not really likely to have a lot of success running the ball against that Tampa Bay defense, and James White was going to be the safety valve to dump to. So they're going to have to lean on those tight ends a lot. Harris is going to have to play a lot more and catch passes out of the backfield. So it definitely impacts them. I think that if you could pick a single game that they would want James be available for, it's probably this one.
Yep. You're exactly right. Well, he's been really good as far as cashing props for us, and we'll just find another running back to cash props because that's just what we do. All right, one final nugget. You guys don't have to comment on this. Andy Reid, good news for him. He is out of the hospital and says he will be back to coaching soon. So he just had some dehydration yesterday, had to be taken in an ambulance after the game, but he is already out of the hospital. All right, let's get into tonight's game now. Again, pound that like button for me. And right now, a yes or a no in the comment section if you think Justin Fields will be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears this week. When we get to 100 likes, AB will let me know, and we will give out our first year-long sub to SportsLine. Now, how we do this particular show, if you're brand new to it, we hit on the storylines for the games, then we hit the props, then we hit the spreads, then we hit the totals, and then we do a little first in-game touchdown as well. So here's what the numbers look like tonight, guys. 3.5 Cowboys. That number has stayed straight for several days now. The total 51.5. The Eagles coming off a 17-11 loss to the 49ers where they were a 3-point underdog, and the Cowboys beat the Chargers 20-17 as they were a 3-point road dog. So they covered. The Eagles did not. Coming into tonight's game, as both teams now are really needing this to kind of solidify themselves as the best team in the NFC East. Mikey, I'll start with you. Who needs tonight more?
I think Dallas needs to win this one. I think Dallas needs to take care of business on their home field in the home opener. I think it's a good one for them. I know that they got away with that win in LA, and they maybe shouldn't have. I think that they need to win this one. Philly, I'm not as bullish on Philly as I thought I might be after watching that first game against Atlanta. So I think the Cowboys need it. I think that if they're going to be a legitimate team the entire course of the season, and when I say legitimate, I mean like deep playoff run potential, they have to win this game at home. It's a good test for them, frankly, but we're going to know tonight they need to take care of business in their home opener.
I think you've squared it right there. We talked about the Titans and Colts game on Sunday. I think this game is exactly the same. You've got a team like the Cowboys, very similar to the Titans. You could do something this year, but these are the games that you absolutely have to win. Division games at home against the teams that are going to battle you against the division. You have to win them. You just absolutely have to win them, whether it's pretty, whether it's ugly, whatever you have to do. So I'm with him. Also, Ip Squared brought up a really good point regarding this Eagles football team. And take all the numbers and betting data out of it. Just talking ball. Are we giving them way too much credit for that week 1 win against Atlanta? Like, I know the Cowboys are. They're exactly who we thought they'd be. The Eagles team, it seems like they beat a really bad Falcons team, and we elevated them. But are they actually that good?
Sia, you're shaking your head. What do you think?
Vigorously, because that's really the thing. I mean, we're breaking down stats when it comes to the Eagles for week 1 and 2. And it's like, yeah, they look really good, but they also played 2 stationary quarterbacks and 2 teams, one of which was actually quite bad. Honestly, when the Eagles were the underdogs in that Falcons game, I was a little confused. And it wasn't because I thought the Eagles were some great team. It's because I knew the Falcons were not a good team. So I don't really think we need to look at the Eagles' success over the last 2 weeks. I really think we have good evidence of the Cowboys, though, in terms of, listen, through 2 games, they played 2 really good teams, 2 teams that are likely going to be in the playoffs, and they played them very well. I mean, they could have won both of those games. Yeah, they could have lost both of those games. But the point is, they played stiff competition through the fourth quarter really quite well. So the only negative is, they've gotten some kind of lucky-ish turnovers, some that I would expect sort of regression the other way. Mm-hmm. But all in all, I think this is a superior team to the Eagles.
Yeah, and they're giving 3.5 right now. And last night, if you played the money line, and it didn't really matter because Green Bay won on the field. Tonight, it feels like the money line is a play, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on. My money line was all the way up to -183 today, and that kind of tells you where the market sees the Cowboys, because normally a 3-point spread on the money line is somewhere around -150 or -160. Why do we think it is so much higher for this spread on the money line? You might want to take that,
right? It's got to be the Cowboys' name.
Got to be, right?
Yeah.
It's a name value combined with it's the true primetime game of the week in, Monday Night Football. It definitely adds, 4 to 5, well, it's not 4 because they don't move it in 4, but it adds a good 5 cents just because it's Monday Night Football. Cowboys' name is probably worth 5 to 10 more. So that's,
okay.
And then the rest of it's going to be based on the action that's coming in. So that's probably
what I
where
thought
you're
too.
getting 20 cents. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, you guys, especially on this show, you guys really listen to what I'm saying. So we've already surpassed 200 likes. So that means I've got to give away 3 year-long subs to SportsLine. And while I'm talking, if you haven't smashed the like button, let's do that. Let's get to 300 in no time. So here are our 3 winners right now. At Lelm Brandon, at Matthew J. Powers, and at Plumber EZ. I'm guessing you're a plumber. But now you are a member of SportsLine. Welcome to the family, all 3 of you. Don't worry about it. We will reach out to you on social media. Don't forget, leave your Twitter handle in either the comment section or, in the comment section so we can get to you. All right. Now, as we look at this from a prop standpoint and the way that Dallas has played, the first week, they were dynamic offensively, 31-29. Now, guys, last week, it was the defense. It was the defense that got it done in LA against the Chargers. They only scored 20, but it was enough. Tonight, do we think it's going to be the defenses that have the advantage, or with these dynamic quarterbacks, certainly with Dak? C, I'll start with you. Do you think the offenses tonight have the advantage?
Well, I definitely think the offenses have the advantage, but the next question for me would be, are there going to be fireworks offensively? I think if the Cowboys can find the game script that they got against the LA Chargers, and what I mean by that is establishing their own lead, or at least like an even game, which allows them to establish their running game. If they can do that, then they can sort of keep Jalen Hurts off the field a little bit. Of course, I think the Eagles will try to do that to some degree as well, but we have this vision of the Cowboys where it's like, oh, it's just going to be a shootout all the time because of what we saw last year, particularly before Dak's injury last year. But that was because they were down a couple of touchdowns almost every single game within the first 10 minutes of the game. So the Cowboys don't want that game script. It's just the game script that befell on them during that period of time. So I think what you're going to see is if the Eagles grab an early lead, then I think you might see that back and forth. But in a Cowboys ideal scenario, they're running the ball with Tony Pollard. They're running the ball with Ezekiel Elliott. They're playing pitch and catch with their tight ends and their receivers in the short area routes. And they're just establishing a lead, which is going to keep the offense sort of at bay.
So I think Sia asked a great question, and these guys are going to know way more than I will in terms of the prop market. But there are some attractive prices on Tony Pollard. Like I think that his rushing yards are like 29.5. Like there are some really nice things out there. So I just bring it up because you guys can answer it way better than I can. But just going through it all day today, there have been a lot. I think Dak Prescott, his rushing yards are like 11.5. Like I could see him at least running for maybe a couple. I don't know. I just bring it up, but there's some nice things out there.
Tony Pollard is number 1 on my list to talk to you guys about tonight because I feel like I'm missing something there, and we'll get to that. But to piggyback something Sia said, guys, if Dallas is going to try to keep the ball away from Jalen Hurts and the way he goes about his business, I love team totals. And the team total for Dallas is 27.5. I still feel like that's good to go to the over. But see if they play the way that you think they might and the way they played last week in San Diego, maybe with this new confangled defense, they're turning it around, and some of us are going to be stuck on some of these plays based off of the old Dallas team that needed to score 40 in order to win the football game. Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%. And Coach, I don't think it would be a bad play to take the 27, the over there, 27.5. But for me, it's a stay away because, again, I think the Cowboys are going to want to have a different game script. And so if they're able to accomplish that, I mean, if we remember back to week 16 of last year, Jalen Hurts played the Dallas Cowboys, and he was pretty good up until that point, and Dallas completely stymied him. I mean, he had a pretty terrible game, a few turnovers, and it was weird because Dallas's defense was so atrocious at that time, but they were able to figure Jalen Hurts out. So if they can figure Jalen Hurts out to any degree, I'm not saying Jalen's going to have a bad game necessarily, but if they can maintain or sort of neutralize him in any way, then those seconds keep ticking off the clock. So while I don't dislike the over of 27.5, it's just not something I want to play because I don't know what the game script is going to be post the first quarter.
That's fair. Mikey, the game that C is talking about, 37-17, 1 touchdown, 3 turnovers, week 16 last year. Do you think we see the same type of thing tonight?
Definitely wouldn't shock me. Certainly well within the range of outcomes there. I like that you mentioned the 37 points as I've got a under ticket on 37.5 for Dallas in some of my same game parlays here. So I know we've had some people asking. I'll probably share one later in the stream. Looks like we got 700 people watching. If we get to 700 likes, I will definitely give you the plus 650 same game parlay. So anyone watching, if you want that, smash the like button. But yeah, I think that there's a scenario where the defense comes into play. However, I don't think it does anything other than forces Jalen to throw. Might lead to turnovers and points off of turnovers that way. But when we get to props, you'll see what I'm looking at. And for a lot of it, I think it's actually some of the passing game for the Philadelphia Eagles. I do think that it's going to be an absolute priority based on what we've seen from Jalen Hurts so far in the passing game. The Cowboys, especially playing on their home field, they're going to make Jalen Hurts. They're going to do their best to make him throw the ball. It's a lot easier said than done because he's a heck of an athlete, but they're going to do whatever they can to make him throw the football tonight.
So with that being said, we're going to just segue right into our props segment because this is always the longest segment of the show. We'll do props, then we'll do spread the total, and then we'll finish up. So if that's the case, the first one I want to hit on is I believe it's correct, 54.5 rushing yards for Jalen Hurts. If they make him throw a lot, that means he could get out of the pocket a lot. Do we like that number on his rushing? And I got to make sure, I'll look it up, but that's what somebody had in the comments section. Do we like his rushing props tonight?
I don't, but it's not going to be a fun under to sweat because he can break the one play. So it's going to be a miserable sweat, especially if you have the game script where they're down by, say, 10 to 15 points in the fourth quarter. He's without a doubt going to scramble for 10 to 12 yards at a time on that final drive. So I'm not going to play the under, but I'm not playing the over. I have the number at 47, which would tell you that you should lean under, but this is it's an incredibly volatile situation. Does not have the volatility of, frankly, even someone like Lamar and like a normal quarterback. So for me, it's a pretty easy stay away because I have that number 8 to 10 yards under already. But I'm not betting under.
Let me say this before Sia jumps in because he's going to have much better information in regards to this prop. What I'm going to say, though, is this. M Squared brought up the perfect word for this, volatility. And where you're going to find volatility are both offensive lines tonight. So expect pressure on the quarterbacks. Expect both of them to be a little mobile tonight. Like there are going to be some crazy things that are going on in this game because when you have teams that really can't protect the quarterback, there's going to be issues. So, see, I'll throw it over to you, but just putting that out there for anybody who hasn't watched the offensive lines, there are going to be some issues tonight. You're going to see them.
No, that's actually a really good point because, the Eagles have their left tackle and their prize guard. I should say prize left tackle and prize guard that are out for this game. So DeMarcus Lawrence is also out for the Cowboys, but Randy Gregory is back. We know Micah Parsons is going to come off the other edge. So, yeah, Jalen Hurts might be kind of, running for his life, figuratively speaking. And that is obviously going to lead to plenty of yards. But it's not necessarily, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to have pressure on him all day, but it's not going to take much pressure for him to escape the pocket and, get 20 yards a clip here and there. So it's not a prop I'm touching. I think it's one of those props that I think a lot of people will just want to hit the over because they have a rushing quarterback. It's probably inflated for that reason to some degree. So it's just not something I'm going to get into.
All right. Well, we have just hit 300 likes. Keep pounding that like button and leave your Twitter handle so we can get to you. Here's the next three names. Welcome to the SportsLine family. At 7997 Jammo, at Kren Mobius, and at Vinodrip 824. Sometimes I wish we could just put a compilation together of me trying to read these Twitter handles every single day. There's so many crazy ones. But those three names, don't worry. We'll reach out to you on social media. You got to drop in your handle if you want to win. If you're already a SportsLine member, don't worry. We're going to give you an upgraded membership if you end up winning the drawing. All right, let's get to 400. Let's get to 500. If we get to 500, somebody asked about a T-shirt, and this incredibly loyal fan, female, put a picture out on Twitter today with a brand new straight to the pay window sweatshirt, and she looked glorious. So if you all want anything, we got to get to 500 or 600. We'll give away a T-shirt too. All right, now let's get back to some props. We have a lot to get to. Let's go to that Tony Pollard because last week he was north of 100 yards rushing. This week his number is at 30.5. I had to do it out of principle. Just out of principle, I had to play this number. Am I getting sucked in? Mikey, let's start with you.
At that number, I don't think it's terrible. I have about 9 yards ahead of that or above that on the edge. What you're going to need is you're just making the assumption that the exact usage we saw in the last game is going to continue and or continue to move in his favor. I think that is mostly true. I think the thing that could potentially get in the way tonight is it is the home opener. They give Ezekiel Elliott a lot of money. They are favored. If they get the game script where they're riding it out up by a touchdown or so, we might see some additional Ezekiel Elliott touches. Having said that, Pollard has this kind of upside literally on 5 carries. So I don't hate it at all. I think that it's probably the last time that if he does play well, it's the last time you're going to be able to grab it at this number. So for that reason, I think it's okay to invest in it tonight.
Okay. Anybody else on that Tony Pollard tonight? See ya?
Yeah, I'm on
tasting
Tony.
It.
I'm on Tony Pollard, but I actually took the total yardage prop at over 60.5. So it's, it's a little bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but I just like the total yards because he is involved in the passing game. If we look at last week, like you said, he had over 100 yards, he had 13 carries, but he also had 3 catches. And I think you can really sort of challenge the middle part of this Eagles defense that their linebackers can't really cover. I could see Pollard breaking off a run, just breaking off a run to the outside for 20, 30 yards just on one clip. But I could also see him, just catching a couple short area throws and getting loose in the defense. So I'd like to have sort of both sides of it. So I'm going to take the total yards prop.
I was just about to ask that literally in regards to Tony Pollard's receptions and Ezekiel Elliott's receptions. I think his number is 2.5, somewhere around there tonight. Mm-hmm. I could see those being very attractive, with such a low number and how Dallas will kind of alleviate their own issues, up front. Yeah. I don't have an answer on that prop, but those intrigue me. They caught my eye immediately.
Speaking of Ezekiel Elliott, his yardage for receiving is only 16.5, which kind of plays to him not being as active. I'm looking here real quick. I'll look those up as we have a YouTube question. Quez Watkins over 29.5 receiving yards. Anybody want to take that one?
I'll take it.
Okay, Michael.
I'm going to go ahead and give one of my plays tonight because it looks like you guys are going to get this to 700. I believe in you, so I'm going to be giving a lot of plays tonight. The first one that I have tonight is a Quez Watkins play. However, it's not the total yards. I want to see what the exact number that I locked in so I don't give you an incorrect number. It is the longest reception. I went longest reception over 16.5 yards. I am worried about him having multiple receptions in this game. I'm not worried about him getting the one, which should be longer than 16.5 yards. A lot like MVS last night. Same thing here. I think that number is fine. I would lean towards the over on that one. I just prefer to bring it down to 16.5 on the longest because if he gets one, it's probably going to be over 16.5 yards to begin with. So would lean that way on the question, but my favorite way to play it is on the longest reception for him. And you drop that number by 12 yards.
I always love the different ways that you guys are able to look at a play and find another play that just makes more sense in that particular game. That's what we try to tell people at home all the time. It's not just about the straight play. It's not just this guy in this game. It's about who they're playing, the defense, the game script, all those types of things. But there's usually a way to play it if you really want to play that name. All right, real quick. We just got to 400 likes. You guys are incredible, and you understand what we're trying to build. So here are the next 4 names. You just won a year-long sub to SportsLine. There's no better value in all of sports betting. At Matt Harrison 88, at J_Blue05, at John on E. Newquist, and at JC Neaton 11. What in the world are you guys doing with these? I think you're just messing with me now. Now, if we get to 500 likes, we'll give out 5 more. But also, we're going to give out a early edge t-shirt to go along with one of those. So get it to 500 likes. We've got a big audience watching right now. So let's get to it. Now, let's get to Dak Prescott, because that's a guy that everybody loves to play as props. They like yardage props. They like completions, attempts. And in the past, the reason they like it, Sia, is because what you already alluded to a couple of minutes ago. They got behind very early. He had to throw. He goes north of 400, and every prop cashes until last week when it didn't, because they were in the game. They had the lead. They were playing conservative. They were relying on their defense. So we don't know what we're going to get tonight. The total for his yardage is 297.5, and his completions or attempts, is 37.5. Do you like either one?
Not really. I'll note that when I looked at his total yards, it was 301.5 as of like 5 o'clock. So it has gone down. And when I looked at it an hour ago, it was 298.5. So it has gone down.
Gone up because I wrote this down like an hour and a half ago. So you might be right.
No, but I know it went down just within the last 30 minutes to 298.5. So I think people are appreciating the fact that this is probably going to be a closer game, and therefore they're probably going to be leaning on the run a little bit more than maybe they did in that Tampa Bay game. Because if you remember, and this kind of goes to sort of what we were talking about with Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, in that Tampa Bay game, it was close in the first half, and then Tampa kind of started to pull away. It was 28-19 at one point in the middle of the third quarter, and then I think that's when it was just Dak time and let's throw the ball down the field. So because I don't see a spread like that in this game in the third quarter, for example, or even the second or the first, I think they're going to be passing quite a bit, but I think they're going to be running the ball a lot as well. So I don't think it's a bad number, but I don't think it's a good enough number for me to take.
Okay. AB, you like either one of these? Yardage, completions?
I'll say 300. What, 300.5? Is that what Dak Prescott?
Right around 300. Yeah.
If you're betting that, bet on the over, because that means that Philly's in this game too, right? Like I think that you're going to have that. So if you're going to bet that and you feel good about that prop, then I would just go ahead and hit the over as well. I'm not sure what that correlates to, which team winning the spread, but that means that Philly's in this game and we have an exciting game going down to the wire. So yeah, that would be mine. I like the 11.5 rushing yards more, honestly.
I do
that's
too.
My favorite Dak Prescott play. Yeah.
It's not like he's not mobile.
Yeah.
And I think so. I think the market is saying, well, he's got the injury. He's not going to get out of the pocket. He still ran the first couple of weeks. He still did that. What do you make of the Prescott props tonight there, Mikey?
Yeah, they're very interesting. What Alan said is correct in that if you like the over there, I do think you should lean towards the over in the game. You've heard me talk about it every time on these primetime shows. The reason I love same game parlays and teasers in the NFL is because I'm only really doing them in primetime, which is when the market is the most efficient. And that's what we have tonight. So I can tell you part of the same game parlay I'm going to give you later. Two of the legs here in this one, I'm going to be taking an alternate spread and an alternate total. So I'm going to be bringing that total down all the way to 43.5. And then I'm going to be taking Dak Prescott yards down to 249.5. Okay. So I'm going over 249 on Dak Prescott. I do think that this number in the market is relatively efficient. It's priced in the fact that they could be winning, in my opinion. So this is a number that if we thought this game was truly going to be really competitive, if the market did, his number would be 306, 307. But because it's not, it's priced in that they think that Dallas is actually going to win and pull away here at home, where they're not going to be having to throw quite as much, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at on it. I'm going over 249.5, and then I'm bringing that total down, bringing the alt spread on the Cowboys side. That's going to be my favorite way to attack it. I think it gives you far more upside than just attacking the over-under on his passing yards.
All right, very good. I got to stop the show again because our viewers are incredible. We've just hit 500 likes. So, Mikey, you made a promise that if we got to 500, that you would give out a first touchdown, some type of a play. So, please live up to your promise, sir.
I said 700 for the plus 650 same game parlay, but yes.
Okay.
So we'll see how close we get to that, but keep smashing the like. If not, I'll give it in 10 minutes if we're not there by then.
All right.
That's on me. I'm going to go ahead and eat that one. That was on me. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate it when I trust my producer. I absolutely hate it when I trust my producer. But we'd have another winner, and she's also going to win a T-shirt from the show. Wendy Willis at 1-835-000-139. I absolutely love it when a woman wins one of these because we want everybody in sports. We want everybody, men, women, not children. You got to be 21 or older. But you know what I'm talking about. We want everybody, and I love it. I love it when we have women watching this show. More and more and more and more. Give it to me. All right, now let's move on to Jalen Hurts. All right, we have crossed the bottom of the hour. Real quick, YouTube comment. I know we have a lot of new people coming in at 7:30. Quickly, apparently the Dak rushing total has gone up to 12.5. Do we still like it at 12.5 as opposed to 11.5? Just a yes or no.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm not on it personally, but so I'll set that one out.
Yeah,
okay.
I do. 1 yard's not going to keep me away from that. Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. By the way, I love all you guys too that are saying you love me. Thank you. We love the whole team. We love the whole team. All right. Jalen Hurts. His numbers, 245.5 is the total on the yardage. The attempts is at 34.5. The last 2 weeks, 264 week 1, he went over. Last week, 190, he went well under. What do we think will happen tonight, gentlemen? Who wants to start this one?
I'll start this one. I think that he goes over. I think we have a really exciting game. Excuse me. And I also think that the Cowboys, the first 2 weeks, probably should have given up more points than they did. And I think that we see a little bit of that tonight. However, while I'm also on the over of that, I'm on the over of his turnovers as well. And we'll talk more about that later on. But there are some turnover numbers for the Eagles and for him specifically tonight that are very, very attractive. But yeah, I'm on the over, Passer.
Okay. See it?
Yeah, I'm going to take the over too. I think it's a pretty good number, but I think, especially if you consider a negative game script for him, I think he will be throwing it around a little bit, which is why probably I would take the under in his rushing prop, but the over in his passing yardage prop.
Okay. Mikey?
I would lean that way. It also goes back to the same thing there. If you lean over in the game, I think that you lean that way. Because if you're leaning over in the game, it's pretty unlikely that all of the points are coming initially from this side of the game. It's likely that Dak is putting up points, which means they're trailing, which means a negative game script, which means they frankly cannot continue to try to run the football. So I think he's going to get there through sheer volume.
Okay. All right, very good. A couple more props, then we'll get to the side and the total as we are just about 20 minutes away from the top of the hour. A guy that we like to talk about every week, Amari Cooper. He said prior to the season, gentlemen, he feels like he's the best wide receiver in the game, and he wants the rock. Well, the rock tonight, his total is over 5.5 catches. Seems like it's doable, but do we like that number? Who wants to start?
I'll start. I don't love it. Especially, I mean, I think the rib injury, I think he's fine there, but I never really like to take a prop if going into the front end of the week there was an injury issue. But there's so many receivers for Dak to pass the ball to. So not only do you have the 2 running backs who will get volume there, but you have 2 tight ends, by the way, that are going to get passes thrown to them in Schultz and Blake Jarwin. And then, of course, you have the 3 receivers if you include Cedric Wilson. So it's just one of those things where 5.5 is too. If it was 4.5, I think I'd be on board. He is a premier receiver, but 5.5 for me is going to be a little bit too much.
Mikey?
Yeah, so this is one that if you guys follow me on Twitter, I gave a live prop last night. This is one with Amari that I think I'm going to be most interested in some of the live numbers. I'm going to see exactly how he looks running routes in the first quarter, whether or not Dak is really looking his way or if he's truly injured and going to be a decoy in this game. I think we'll know relatively quickly. So that's the way I'll be attacking him. I have a lot of exposure to him in DFS tonight still, but despite having some edge, it's difficult to explain, but I have edges on both of his numbers. I have an edge on his over receptions. I have an edge on his over on yardage. Normally, he's a candidate for someone that could be 6.5 receptions. It's only 5.5 tonight. He could be 6.5 in a game without Michael Gallup. It's telling me that there's a little risk with that injury. So I'm electing to play him in DFS where I can still cash even if he doesn't have that perfect game script. And then I'm electing to bet it live as opposed to do it at pregame.
All right. AB, let me ask, I want to go to the other side for you. And then if you want to comment on what you can, on the other side of what C was saying, CeeDee Lamb, his numbers are over 6.5 catches and over 80.5 yards. What do you make there? And then whatever you're going to say.
Yeah, no. It all goes together. I like CeeDee Lamb with the receptions. I like Amari with the yardage. Like, this feels like one of those games where Amari breaks a long touchdown early in the game, but CeeDee gets the work, right? So if I had to bet this, I would go CeeDee receptions, excuse me, and I would go Amari with the yardage.
Okay. All right, keep the props coming in. We'll get to as many at the end of the show as we can, but we need to move on to the spread and to the total. And we want to know in the comments section, we'd love for you guys to tell us what you think. What do you think is going to be the final score of the game tonight? Just put it in the comments section. Let us know. That way we get an idea of whether you think Philadelphia can do it on the road or Dallas at home. So it's sitting at 3.5, that dreaded hook. Let's talk about the spread first. Which way are you leaning, Sia?
So first of all, I like the Cowboys, if you didn't already know that from the first 40 minutes of this show. But I will say this. if you can buy that hook off of 3.5 and get it down to 3, I think that would be advisable, because that hook is, for those of you, I mean, most people watching are pretty experienced. They know that that's a pretty important hook at 3.5. So even with that, though, I like the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Eagles are good, but I don't think we know how good they are considering who they beat in the first 2 weeks. Now, the 49ers are okay, don't get me wrong, but I think Dak presents a whole new set of problems for them defensively. We know Brandon Graham is out, so one of their premier defensive players is out. The back end with Philly, they've performed well through 2 weeks, but I don't think they're going to perform well against this receiving core. So I think Dallas has enough on defense for this to be kind of like a 7-point game.
Okay. AB?
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. And you go through and look at all the division games we've had in the NFL this year, the average difference is about 12 points. Like, these games haven't been close. One of the closer ones was the Titans and Colts, and they won by 9, right? Like, I mean, we've seen some blowouts in these games. So I'm with C on this one. 3 is obviously a much better, more attractive number than 3.5, but I'm not really that concerned about it. I think Dallas covers by a comfortable margin.
Mikey, are your ears bleeding right now to hear Sia talk about buying the hook down to 3? What?
No, not necessarily, but I would recommend, if you're doing it, I would recommend a same game parlay where you're teasing it with some other options in there to give you some more upside, just to make a really highly correlated play. As far as the spread for me, I think the hook is there to entice as much Philadelphia action as they possibly can. So I like Dallas. I make them minus 5.2 in the simulation. So I think it's a pretty good play here on Dallas. As far as the total, I think it's a little more difficult on the total. We mentioned volatility with Hurts in the rushing yards. I think that there's some volatility in this total as well. So I'll be electing to have it in the same game parlay and teaser and bring it down, trying to get it to around under 44. So 43.5 would be that ideal number that I'm looking for, that I feel very comfortable that almost every game script gets us there. But the better play out of the two is going to be Dallas minus 3.5.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Mikey that this number sitting at 51.5, it just screams to me, why didn't I take it down to 50.5? It screams to me 27-24, and we can get screwed all the way across the board. Do you guys feel that same way? Because at SportsLine, the projected simulations is 27-24.
Yeah, and by the way, Coach, I'm seeing it at 51 currently. Okay. So I don't see the hook where I'm looking at it, but I don't disagree with your sentiment there. I do think, even though I think that some of the passing yards will be somewhat, so I didn't take the over on all the props we discussed. But even with that said, if I had to take this over or this total, I would probably take the over. But it's a stay away for me. I am taking the Cowboys, but the total is a stay away.
All right. Well, we have just hit 600 likes. What an incredible audience we have, all of you. So here is our next winner, and we're throwing in another T-shirt with the year-long sub. Jennifer Milo at Mama Bets 23. You got to win a sub just for the best Twitter handle of the night. Mama Bets 23. Welcome to the family. Love it. And I love the guy who says, this is too long of a show for one game, but yet you're still here watching it. That's what I don't understand. We've got a million things to talk about, and we're killing it on props. You can't just do 10 minutes on props. You know what I mean? It's always amazing to me. It's too long of a show, but yet you're still here watching. Okay, now let's get to, because we've hit 600 likes, so we've got to get to the Van Jefferson Memorial first touchdown of the game. Now, see ya. You'll remember a couple of weeks ago, this was almost like a throwaway on a Sunday night where my man, M Squared, he put out Van Jefferson plus 4,000 to score the first score of the game for the Rams. And damn it, if he didn't do that. Then the very next night, what did you do, sir? You backed it up plus 1,200. Talk to me. What was that? Just rekindle that for me.
It was the only time you're going to want to take Tyson Williams as a first touchdown scorer, apparently, and it absolutely worked out. So yeah, I'm happy to follow Mike. Of course, 12-1 versus 40-1 pales in comparison, but an exciting moment for sure.
All right. Well, because you hit the last winner here on the show, I'm going to let you give me the first name tonight that you think has a very good chance with value to score the first touchdown of the game. What do you got?
Yeah, so with value, I think is the operative term there. So I'm going to take pretty much a long shot here, and it's partly because I think one of the other guys on this show has a guy that I also like. So I don't want to overkill that. I'm going to take Blake Jarwin at 22-1. And my rationale here is I don't know if Mike was that just laughing.
Was that yours, Mikey?
Yes, you got mine. Go for it.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I honestly thought Tony Pollard was yours, or maybe it's Allen's. Okay.
That's
geez,
Allen's
wow.
is Tony Pollard.
I'm giving away all the stuff. We have more
right.
stuff. Sorry. Well, so here's the thing. I think Blake Jarwin, that's funny, Mike. And I feel very comfortable about it. Now, I think we're seeing like Dalton Schultz is getting a lot of the targets here, but I think Blake Jarwin is the more talented guy. He's coming off that really terrible injury in week 1 of last year, but I think we're slowly going to see a transition from Dalton Schultz to Blake Jarwin in terms of the target share. And I think we might see that starting tonight. And I think with the kind of not the best secondary for the Eagles, kind of paying attention to all those pass catchers that we just talked about in CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, I think it could be very easy for Blake Jarwin to get loose in the middle of the field, in the middle of the end zone for a touchdown.
All right.
And Coach, you mentioned value. So it really comes down to value too. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are, Amari Cooper's 9-1. Like, I just don't know that presents the best value. It's obviously a good play.
And it's not fun either. This is supposed to be a fun bet. It's supposed to be a fun bet, right? That if you hit it, you're like, damn it, I hit it. That's what this is supposed to be. So, Mikey, I know he took your pick, but you could just back him up on that pick if you have anything else. But I don't want you to come off that pick, though.
Yeah, well, knowing that where Alan's going with it already, since I ruined it by laughing with the reaction on Jarwin, there are 3 guys that I like in terms of value here. Far and away, number 1 is Blake Jarwin, 22. Basically what Sia said. I do think it's going to be a passing touchdown for Dallas in the first touchdown. So I do like that a lot. The other guy that I'm going to play is going to be Cedric Wilson. Same price, 22-1. Look, he's out there on the field a lot. Played 58% of snaps. Noah Brown got about 20% of the snaps last week. Early in the game, it's going to be more Cedric Wilson. So that 58% numbers probably inflated to about 70% early in the game. Which is a good number for someone at that range. He also is someone that takes rushing attempts. He could be in motion and take a rushing attempt. He's very fast. He's also someone that could hit a long shot down the field. So I like him. And then if you're on the other side, if you think Philly scores the first touchdown, I think there's pretty good value on Jalen Reagor.
Jalen Reagor. All right. I know we have one of his props on the show, official play this morning, over 37.5, I believe, on his receiving yardage prop tonight. All right, AB, what's your – oh, we already know what yours is, but go ahead and give it to us anyway.
Yeah, mine's going to be Blake Jarwin. No, I'm kidding. It's Tony Pollard. Yeah, I'm going Tony Pollard here, plus 1,000. I like the opportunity that he has. Basically, if the Cowboys get beyond the 50-yard line, he could take it on the ground. He could take it in a swing pass. And the closer they get, the better that his odds get. So at plus 1,000, I think you're getting a really good number there.
All right, very good. So we're going to go Cedric Wilson, 22-1, little Jalen Reagor maybe, Blake Jarwin, 22-1, and Tony Pollard at 10-1. By the way, I'm going to make Sean in the comments. You're going to be our official police, our official disciplinarian of anybody that's negative. Get him out. Get him out of the comments section. Thank you, Sean, for handling that for me. I'm trying to host a show here, so thank you, Sean. All right, now it's come to the show, time of the show where it's And Here's Why, where my guys give out their official best bets of the game, and they tell you why. So, Sia, what are you personally playing tonight that you like? Give them to me all. Give them all to me. Let's go.
All right, I'll give you 2. I'm going to take the Cowboys minus 3.5. I think, we talk about the Cowboys injuries a lot, especially with DeMarcus Lawrence, but it's really the Eagles that are more banged up, in my opinion, at important positions than the Cowboys, particularly on the offensive line with the left tackle and their guard. And then, of course, on the defensive line, we have Brandon Graham that's out as well. So I just like the spot for the Cowboys. I think they're the better team. This is Dak's first. We talked about it. Mike pointed it out at the beginning. This is Dak's first time playing at home since that horrific injury. It's going to be a very emotional moment, not just for him, but for all of his teammates as well. And I think there's something to be said about that. The other bet I'll give out is, we talked about it, Pollard over 60.5 total yards. I just think he's going to get just enough in the receiving and rushing game in terms of work that he should surpass that pretty easily. Again, it's just going to take 2 or 3 medium-sized runs or receptions for him to get super close to that. He'll eclipse it.
All right, I like it. Cowboys land the 3.5 and Pollard over 60.5 combined rushing and receiving yards. All right, M Squared, what do you got for us?
All right, this one's going to be long, so make sure you smash the like button because I said we needed 700. We're close enough that I know there's enough people watching. I'm going to give you the parlay. I'm going to give you everything. Make sure we get to 700 by the time I'm done. All right,
smash it. Let's go. Smash it. All right. Let's go.
Sia mentioned emotional moments in Dallas tonight. There's going to be another emotional moment, and it's going to be on the other side of the ball. Jalen Reagor from Waxahachie, which is about 28 miles from where this game is going to be played tonight, also played college ball at TCU. His first career NFL touchdown came against this Dallas Cowboys team as well. He is a fan of this team. I like his over tonight. I know Jay Smooth gave this play this morning. You're getting a bad number if you're playing it now. I would still play it all the way up to 45.5, just like Marquez Valdes-Scantling last night. We're going to be looking to play this one live in game as well. Jalen Hurts is not going to be able to run, hopefully, as much as he would like to tonight. He's going to force the ball. I think that he's going to throw the ball to Jalen Reagor quite a bit. So I think Reagor is an excellent bet there. I just gave you a sprinkle on the first touchdown. I like Jalen Reagor tonight. And then sticking with the same theme, Quez Watkins, I already gave that one out. The over on his longest reception. I think that that's a great way to bring that 28.5 total yards down because I think he's looking at one decent sized reception in the game. Now for the parlay. It is a long one. I will do my best. You have to listen closely and I'll share it on Twitter after the show.
Okay.
It pays plus 650. It is a game parlay. I'm taking the Cowboys plus 3.5. The alternate over at plus 43.5. Dak Prescott over 249 yards. Jalen Reagor 25 plus receiving yards. Quez Watkins 15 plus receiving yards. The Cowboys under 37.5 total points. The Eagles under 28.5 total points. Each team to score 16.5 points, and the Dallas Cowboys over 6.5 points in the first half.
This is just fun. Anybody that takes their betting seriously, come on. This is fun. Oh, if this hits, this might feel like the greatest hit of all time. All right, I want to make sure I got this. Cowboys plus 3.5. Alternate over plus 43.5. Dak over 249 yards. Reagor 25 plus receiving yards. Watkins 15 plus receiving yards. Cowboys under 37 team total, and the Eagles under 28 team total. And then the last one over 16 for both teams. And then I missed the last one.
And then over 6.5 total points for the Cowboys in the first half. So they need at least 7 points by halftime for the Cowboys. All right. Final note there, the under 37, it's 37.5 on the Cowboys and 28.5. So we could have a 37-28 final and still be good to go.
I love my man Stiv in the comment section says, I don't think my bookie has that play. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, it does depend on whether or not your book allows you to do it. All right, we have come to the end. Continue to hit that like button. This is a record. This is the most likes we've ever had. And for those of you who don't understand, it's really, really important to us here at YouTube at SportsLine to grow this page and grow our brand. So thank you so very much for doing that. And we'll reach out to all of you who won year-long subs, but we have found that we have to stop a little bit short of the top of the hour. So you have it may take you 20 minutes to put in Mikey's parlay, to be honest with you. All right. So there is the recap of the official plays from all three guys. And I'll give you 15 seconds, quickly recap on what you're most looking forward to tonight. See, and let's just go around the horn. See you, AB, then Mikey, close it out for us.
I'm looking forward to seeing Dak at home and seeing if he's the old Dak himself. This is going to be a great NFC East battle. It looks like it might be the two best teams in the NFC East, and I expect Dallas to put their stamp on that division tonight.
Yep.
AB, did you just pull Jay Smooth?
I think I did.
You did. Oh, embarrassing. That's just embarrassing. Go ahead.
I was going to just hit the remove button and just wipe me out of the show right there. No, I think Sia brought it up. I think it's exactly right. Like, I think tonight we find out, are the Cowboys for real? And are the Eagles for real? Like we asked the question earlier, like we don't know who they are, and they might be. Not negative on them whatsoever, but tonight is the night to prove it. But I think this is really about the Cowboys offense tonight, and are they a for real team that we should worry about?
All right. Mikey, what do you got, pal?
Yeah, and I think that what the other guys have said, basically, I think Dallas should be favored by 5. That hook is encouraging you to get encouraging action on Philadelphia. We've all heard the narratives about how these divisional games in primetime are competitive. I like Dallas at home, and I like the plays that I gave you. I think that it's going to be forcing Jalen Hurts to pass, hopefully to Jalen Reagor and Quez Watkins a lot. That would be ideal. And enjoy the game. We got to 700. Thanks, guys.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you guys so very much. Craig in the YouTube comment section, best show on the net. You're damn right it is. We're here every single morning at 10 a.m. with our regular morning show. And then every single day of the week, except for Saturday, we have an afternoon show that is specific to the game that night. So tomorrow, we have our mega preview for week 4 in the NFL, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. Then Wednesday, AB and the boys college. Thursday night football. You see what I'm saying there. The best way to know when new content drops into your feed, follow our YouTube page right here. Turn on the notifications, and you get a little notification every time we have new content in your feed because we want you here every single time, or else you're costing yourself money. All right, there's only one thing left to do, and it's my favorite part of the entire show. Sandra, this one's for Sandra. I'm ready to give it to you, Sandra. Here we go. You got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Monday night football tickets straight to the pay window. For AB, for Sia, for M Squared, for our entire team. What a weekend. Let's cap it off tonight. Tell your friends that your favorite sports betting show is The Early Edge. Good luck. See you tomorrow morning. Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.